Good morning, Lena Scott Lighthouse. So, guys, I just wanted to do a little thing about Clairaudient because I'm learning as I go along a lot of different ways of how different gifts can work. And one thing I've learned about Clairaudient, there's a lot of different ways you can get messages. Like, a lot of us get ringing in the ears. If this sounds like it's up close and personal, at least for me personally, that is my spirit guides, my angels, who talking to me, okay? I actually will hear my ears ring. You get that high pitched. And different angels, spirit guides, they all have their own voice, so to speak. So you might get a real deep ring. You might get a higher ring, anywhere in between, from the deepest to the lightest. I had one time that barely sounded like the little tinkling of a bell, okay? Because they are all separate entities, okay, or spiritual guides, however you want to look at it. The other thing I'm learning is my Clairaudient works a little differently than other people. I've gotten to where now that when I am channeling and I'm doing my cards and my runes, they're talking to me, but it's on an energetic level, and that's why sometimes you'll hear me go, "What they say?" Because I'm transmuting the energy and translating it in some kind of a language, from their language to my language, because it's purely intuitive, okay? Now, I have a friend, he literally hears voices, and he's been hearing them since he was like in his 20s, and we're not talking about paranoid schizophrenia. We're talking about hearing, he'll hear conversations between people. Guys, schizophrenia is different. Schizophrenia, when people hear things, a lot of times they hear just one voice or just a certain group, like 3 or 4 voices talking to them. So he's been hearing conversations between people. It's not like they're telling him go. Now, if you're hearing something that's telling you, to go hurt yourself, go hurt someone else, and you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. My daughter-in-law, she overhears conversations. There won't be nobody there, and she'll be like, I'll be hearing a conversation. I'll be going, there's nobody here. What am I hearing? Okay. I've also found that being outside, sometimes voices carry on the wind from a long distance and you can pick them up. That to me can also be a type of Clairaudient, simply because depending how far away it is, you might be hearing not actually the voices of the people or sound like that, but you might be picking up, how people talk. We're taking in and putting out energy all the time, okay? We're like batteries, I guess. And if you hear a conversation come on the wind, but you're not sure what it is, but yet you're knowing what it's saying, again, you're picking up, even if it's someone talking a couple of miles away, you're picking up the energy of that voice carried on the wind, transmuting it, translating it, and you're understanding what they're saying. And that's why a lot of times people like my daughter will be like, she's like, there's no one around, she's outside, the wind's blowing, and she's hearing bits and pieces of conversation, and then sometimes you might actually hear voices on the wind and might be hearing a conversation come. So you have to use your discernment to figure out if it's actually a message for you, if it's a message for you or if you're picking up something, okay? Another thing I've found is that with Clairaudient, hearing a song in your head. I've known people that pick up songs and will get little messages in them. I just talked about in one of my readings about listening to a lady that's no longer on YouTube. Oh God, I loved her. I can't remember what her name was, but I loved her messages. They resonated so much with me. About in the same way that sands do, but sands are on a different level. I don't know if that makes sense or not. And I was listening to her message and I heard, go check your email. I went and checked my email, found I had gotten some money. I had a check waiting for me from a job I'd done. And come to find out, I went back later, I was like, something it felt kind of off-keeter, So I re-listened to her message. Not once did she say, go check your email. Not once. And I listened to it 2 and 3 times. Never did she say that. So sometimes if you're listening to something else, your spirit guides and angels will, because you're so in tune to listening to what you're listening to, will give you a message that when you later go back and listen to something you were listening to, you don't hear that message, but you were meant to get it. Okay. Does that make sense? So I just thought I would do this quick little video to explain how I have seen other people's Clairaudient works, how my Clairaudient has worked. And guys, my gifts have expanded in such a way that I've got all kinds of different messages coming in. I've seen movie clips. I've heard songs. I've heard a message come through from listening to something on YouTube. I've had psychic dreams. I've even recently done something that they told me was, this is a type of remote viewing. Okay, so maybe we'll do a little video about that later. So I just want y'all to be aware. Your gifts can come in and tell you things in a lot of different ways. You just have to use your discernment to figure out. You have to be listening. What is a message that's meant for you, or what is a message that you overhear that's meant to teach you something, show you something, open you up to something, show you a way. There's all kinds of signs and synchronicities. And guys, some of you might actually look up to the clouds one day and be asking a question, and suddenly you see a cloud that gives you the answer, because the universe is speaking to you. So you just have to pay attention. Birds are messengers. You can, like, right before I started to get to know this new friend of mine, I kept seeing crows. Everywhere I go, I see like 1 or 2 crows. And crows are messenger birds. And we have a lot of crows around here. But I don't always see them. All of a sudden, I started seeing them every time I went to town, came back from town. And then this friend that used to live here, we started talking, ran into each other here, and found out that he actually moved here the same month I moved here. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, June of... not last June, but the June before, because guys, I've been here almost 2 years, a year and a half now. He moved here the same time I did. And actually, when I was in Calpine and moved here, he moved here the month before I did. Okay, so that is one of those, you were destined to meet this person, because the universe, remember I was telling y'all one time in one of my past videos about the universe shuffling around people and places to put into your path because they're meant to be on your path? Well, that's exactly how I met Daniel. He was definitely, I mean, when we've been talking a lot about different signs and synchronicities, what we know to be true. And the more we talk about different things, the more we're like, well, you were here the same time I was. You were over here the same time I was. And it's like, this is signs and synchronicities I'm talking about. So never discount how you're going to meet your next best friend, your next boyfriend, your next girlfriend, your next partner on the spiritual path, because the universe is constantly shuffling us around to get certain people in certain places at the same time, because they're meant to be on your journey. They're either meant to share the journey with you, be in some kind of learning experience with you, have the same kind of gifts that you have. So guys, don't discount nothing. The veil is so thin between the worlds right now that the universe is behind the scenes patiently putting things into place for those of us that are meant to help other people, guide other people, be on our own spiritual journey. Just the other day, we actually went to town and I went shopping with him, and we were coming back. His car was in front of me, and all of a sudden, and we were in between the mountains, between the town we're in and the next town over. And there's one place where when you're going through the mountains where they've blown the mountains up and put in guardrails, guys, in between some of those hills, there's sharp drop-offs. We're talking a couple of 100 feet, okay? Enough that if you fell over it and nothing stopped you, like a tree or a bush, you could potentially die, okay? Especially with the snow we get that, like last year, it was 3 and 4 or 5 feet, okay? And there was a dog. We were coming this way, the dog was going the opposite way. And I looked in my rear view, there was traffic coming, everyone was just leaving town. And once you got to right where we were, there's nothing in between, guys. There's a few places to pull over on the right side of where the mountain is, but on the left, there's mountains, and then there's drop-offs, okay? So I stopped, he stopped, I managed to I actually called the dog, stopped traffic, the dog came up to me. About the time I grabbed the dog's leash, I looked up, and there was a guy crawling over the guardrail, like 100 feet in front of us, off to the left, and he did look, but right where he was climbing up, there was another mountain. And if a big old 18-wheeler were to come, there was very small space where this man could, they have the shoulder of the road. There was a very small place where that man could have stayed safely for an 18-wheeler to go. He could have been run over. I was terrified. I had the dog. Daniel was trying to make sure this guy was okay. He had slipped and fallen over the guardrail. The dog got loose. I managed to catch the dog. Guys, I looked, there was a truck behind me, several cars. We were just in the right place at the right time and managed to save this dog. And guys, I had the shakes the whole way home. This guy, he had just hurt his lip, but he had blood all over his face. I'm going, oh my God, you need to go to the hospital? We were in the right place at the right time to save the dog and keep and stop traffic to keep the man from getting run over. Guys, you never know when you're going to be of service, when the universe is going to put something in a place to make sure you're there to help someone. So don't never discount things that you think are, wow, that I just saw an accident and I helped somebody because they didn't have their cell phone. I called 911. Guys, you never know when you're going to be in the right place at the right time. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say this morning. The earth signs are coming up. They're actually already uploaded, and I'm getting ready to do the water signs. Guys, this is Landscott Lighthouse. Be a light in the darkness. Be a hero. Be your own hero. Be somebody else's hero. Be a light in the darkness. You never know when the universe is going to arrange something that changes your whole life. Until next time.